This is a tradition, the Day of the Dead tradition, that is such a fundamental part of the culture of the Hispanic people. Doing this project, this combination of film and music that celebrates and explains and explores, is just a perfect opportunity to connect a wider community in Houston with what the Houston Symphony is doing.
Day of the Dead is a custom. It's a different celebration than Halloween here in the United States. It's a day of remembrance, to remember loved ones or people that you have known, and to even make offerings, to have places where you could see some of the things that they like to do and remember them in a happy time.
In Spanish, the term is Dia de los Muertos. Day of the Dead is a time when we celebrate the lives of our ancestors, for children and for adults, on November 1st and 2nd.
The way the Day of the Dead is celebrated, it really has taken on different elements from many different cultures, and so there's not one, say, pure culture that has developed it, but it really is a day in which really communities throughout the world stop and remember deceased loved ones.
Day of the Dead is not supposed to be scary. It's a celebration. It's a remembrance of ancestors, and you're honoring them and you're celebrating their lives. Calaveras o calacas is a symbol of the dead. And they're not grimacing, they're not Halloweenish, they're not, gruesome, they're smiling.
Calaveras, images of skulls and skeletons, has a long tradition in Mexico, going back to pre-Columbian times. Posada didn't create calaveras, but he popularized it and made them famous.
But he would use these skeletons as another way to communicate this message. They weren't people, they were these skeletons from another world. But the meaning, I would say, behind that is down deep inside, whether you're rich or poor, we're all the same looking inside.
This idea from filmmaker, writer Ben Young Mason came upon us at just the right time. Ben knew about our innovative projects in film and using visual medium to connect with music, and he had this great idea.
I grew up part of the time in Mexico, and amongst all of the celebrations that I experienced as a child, the most extraordinary and my iconic of all of them was the Day of the Dead. I wrote a short story perhaps a decade ago, which ultimately I began to think of as an accompaniment for a symphony.
Well, this is a love story. It's a love story of the two main characters, Jesus and Magdalena. Jesus is the son of a wealthy man in Mexico, and Magdalena is a young, kind of a peasant girl, actually. They meet, they see each other at church, they see each other in the marketplace, in the plaza at a fiesta.
The two fall in love during the throes of and chaos of the Mexican Revolution, and are ultimately separated through her death and reunited during the Day of the Dead.
So once we were on board with Ben Young Mason and this idea of Triste Historia, we needed to get quite a team together to pull off this wonderful feat. And that involved bringing on board, again, someone we've worked with a lot, Duncan Copp, British producer.
Well, La Triste for me has been a journey within a journey. I think every production should provide that. And what's been so pleasurable for me is not just working with the team, an amalgamation of people from Mexico, from America and from the UK, but it's been that journey through Mexican culture.
Then we also had to find the right composer, and we chose Juan Trigos, a very respected and prominent Mexican composer, to create the symphonic backdrop.
You add some Indian music, black music, some Bach, some Stravinsky, Donatoni, whatever you like, make the shake, and voila, it's me.
I think Juan Trigos has really written a very careful and artistic score, but it was written specifically for this film to help tell the story. And along with telling the love story of our two main characters, he draws in a lot of musical ideas that are reminiscent of the sights and sounds that you would experience on Day of the Dead.
So the very first part movement is all the presentation of the main characters. The second movement is the love part, and have this romance in a manner of a very unique eternal love dance. And the third movement is the war, so the revolution itself. And the fourth movement is the reconciliation with the death, no? And the Day of the Dead. It is very tender, very happy, and very sad all together.
This music really does tell the tale from all of its very descriptive sounds and use of rhythms and pacing. And so that combination with the animation just take you along, sweep you along in this wonderful panoramic tale. And we needed to find a visual way to bring this fantastical story together, and we found British animation company ticktockrobot.
We wanted this extra element, this extra wow factor for this animation. This is about death. Let's celebrate that. We threw a few ideas around and I came up with this idea of the death pass, which through both the villagers and humans and the animals themselves as well, they have a second layer, which is the skeleton. And you can see that skeleton, and you can see extra patterns that are built in these skeletons that are very much influenced by Aztec.
In Mexican culture, each animal has its spirit correspondence, and each stands for something important. In the case of butterflies, mariposas, these are souls of the departed.
We're going to have Day of the Dead altars set up in the lobby for that week. We're opening the hall a little bit early each day of the performances. The world premiere of this piece is on Day of the Dead on November 1st. And we've basically worked this entire week around the premiere of this new symphony and new film.
We will have 14 altars at the reception hall of the Jones Halls, and they are representing 14 states of the Mexican states, with different culture, with different flowers, different presentation.
We felt it was really important, especially in this, our centennial year, to do a major innovative project that celebrates our culture here in Houston, but really looks forward to what the future of symphonic performance and what a symphony orchestra can do and be in its community.
From an audience perspective, I hope that you enjoy the wonderful music. I hope you enjoy the outstanding animation, and I hope that you just have an experience where you're immersed in this wonderful Mexican culture and this strong narrative that Ben Mason's put together, and just have an enjoyable evening.